What if 1,247 people could vanish without a single scream, and every government on Earth refused to talk about it? Ash Grove wasn't supposed to exist anymore. At least that's what the map said after September 19, 2019. The small mining village in northern Canada, population 1,247, disappeared overnight. Not destroyed, not evacuated, vanished. Detective Sarah Chen stood at the town's entrance, where a wooden sign still read, "Welcome to Ash Grove, established 1952. The September wind carried something wrong through the empty streets. Not the smell of decay or fire, something else. Absence. Her boots crunched on gravel as she walked past the first house. The door hung open. Inside, a coffee mug sat on the kitchen table, still half full. The liquid inside had grown a thin film of mold, but the mug's placement was perfect, as if someone had just set it down mid-sip. A chair was pulled back. A newspaper dated September 18th lay open to the crossword puzzle. 3 words filled in. Sarah's radio crackled. "Chen, you seeing this?" It was Marcus, her partner, 2 blocks away. "Every house is the same. Doors open, lights still on in some, cars in driveways with keys in the ignition." She moved to the next house. Children's toys scattered across the lawn. A bicycle lying on its side, one wheel still slowly spinning in the wind. Inside, dinner plates arranged on the table. Food rotted, but untouched, as if everyone had stood up simultaneously and walked away. But walked where? The church bell tower loomed ahead, and Sarah noticed something that made her blood run cold. The clock had stopped at exactly 9:47 p.m. Every clock in every visible building showed the same time. Then she saw the photographs. Hundreds of them pinned to every surface of the community center. Faces of the missing, but these weren't family photos. These were surveillance shots, each person photographed without their knowledge, all dated within the week before the disappearance. Someone had been watching them, counting them. Marcus's voice came through the radio again, shaking. "Sarah, you need to see what's in the mine shaft right now." The mine entrance yawned open like a wound in the earth. Sarah's flashlight beam cut through darkness that seemed thicker than it should be. The air tasted metallic, wrong. Marcus waited at the shaft entrance, his face pale in the dim light. "It's down there, level 3, he said, not meeting her eyes. They descended. The elevator cables groaned, protesting weight they'd carried for decades. Water dripped somewhere in the blackness. Each level they passed showed signs of normal operation. Tools neatly arranged, lunchboxes sitting on benches, hard hats hanging on pegs, as if the miners had simply paused mid-shift. Level 3 opened into a vast chamber. Sarah's light swept across the space and stopped. The entire wall was covered in handprints, hundreds of them, pressed in what looked like black paint. But as Sarah approached, her stomach turned. Not paint, blood. Old blood, oxidized to a dark brown, but unmistakably human. "There's more," Marcus whispered. In the center of the chamber stood a circular pit, about 20 feet across. The edges were smooth, almost polished. Sarah knelt beside it, shining her light down. The beam disappeared into a darkness that her flashlight couldn't penetrate. She grabbed a rock and dropped it in. They waited. 5 seconds. 10. 15. No sound of impact. Carved around the pit's edge were symbols. Not random scratches, but deliberate markings. Ancient-looking, yet somehow fresh. Sarah photographed them, her hands trembling. Between the symbols, words in English. "They heard us. They're coming. Don't let them..." The message ended abruptly, as if the writer had been interrupted. Marcus pointed his light at the chamber wall behind them.
More writing, scrawled in desperate strokes. The frequency opened it. God forgive us. It wasn't supposed to wake up. Sarah's radio suddenly erupted with static. Through the noise, impossibly, came a voice, calm, clear, speaking in perfect English. Detective Chen, you shouldn't have come here. They're listening now. They know you found us. The transmission died. In the silence that followed, Sarah heard it. A sound rising from the bottomless pit. Not wind, not water, breathing.
Sarah and Marcus fled the mine, lungs burning, not stopping until they reached the surface. The afternoon sun felt like a lie after what they'd witnessed below. Sarah's hand shook as she reviewed the photographs on her camera. "We need to find out what happened in the days before," she said, forcing her voice steady. "There has to be a pattern." They split up. Sarah headed to the town hall while Marcus checked the school. Inside the municipal building, file cabinets stood open, papers scattered across desks as if someone had been searching for something in a panic. Sarah found the town meeting minutes from September 16th, 3 days before the disappearance. Her blood ran cold as she read. The meeting had been about noise complaints, not construction noise or traffic. A sound coming from the mine, low frequency, constant. Started on September 10th, but here's what made Sarah's skin crawl. The complaints weren't about the sound being annoying. They were about what it made people do. "My husband stands in the backyard for hours, just staring at the mine. He doesn't respond when I call his name. When he finally comes inside, he doesn't remember being out there." Another. "Children gathering in the street at night, all facing the same direction, all humming the same note." Sarah found a doctor's log. 27 residents treated for nosebleeds in 1 week, 15 for sleepwalking, 8 reported missing time, hours they couldn't account for. Then she found the video footage. The town hall security camera from September 18th, the day before everyone vanished. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. The street outside was packed with people, not panicking, not running, walking in absolute silence, all moving in the same direction, toward the mine. Men, women, children, some still in pajamas, moving with mechanical precision, their faces blank, eyes reflecting the streetlights like animals caught in headlights. But that wasn't the worst part. Sarah rewound the footage and zoomed in on faces. Mrs. Patterson, the school teacher, young Tommy Chen, no relation, Father Mackenzie from the church. They were all smiling, the exact same smile, too wide, too perfect. Her radio crackled, Marcus's voice, barely controlled panic. "Sarah, get to the school, now. There's a classroom. They left something, a message for whoever came looking. It's addressed to you by name."
The elementary school's hallways echoed with Sarah's footsteps. Crayon drawings still decorated the walls. Images of houses, families, sunshine. Normal children's art. Except in every single drawing there was something extra. A black circle, always in the corner. Always perfectly round. Marcus stood in classroom 7B, his flashlight illuminating the chalkboard. Sarah's breath caught. Written in perfect handwriting, covering every inch. Detective Sarah Chen will arrive on September 22nd at 2:17 p.m. She will find this message at 4:33 p.m. She will not leave Ash Grove. None of them leave. We understand now. The pattern must continue. Sarah checked her watch. 4:31 p.m. "That's impossible," Marcus whispered.
This was written days before we were even assigned this case. Beneath the message, a timeline stretched across the board. 1952, mine opens. First incident, 7 dead. 1967, second incident, 23 dead, covered up. 1983, third incident, 41 dead, files sealed. 2001, fourth incident, 89 dead, town repopulated. 2019, final harvest, 1,247. Harvest, Sarah read aloud. They called it a harvest. Marcus pulled a folder from the teacher's desk. Inside, declassified mining reports. The original survey from 1952 warned against excavation. Geological anomaly detected, unknown composition, readings inconsistent with known materials. The mining company ignored it. Profit over caution. The first incident happened 3 months after opening. 7 miners went missing in level 3. Their bodies were found a week later, arranged in a circle around that pit. Cause of death? Unexplained. Every organ in their bodies had crystallized into an unknown substance. The incidents repeated every 16 to 17 years, always in September, always more victims. Each time, the government paid families to stay quiet, repopulated the town with new workers who didn't know the history. But 2019 was different. This time, everyone was taken. Sarah found a journal hidden in the desk, the teacher's handwriting increasingly erratic. September 12, the humming started, beautiful, like simming. September 14, can't sleep, must listen, must understand. September 16, we're all hearing it now. It's calling us, showing us things. September 18, tonight, we go tonight, together. Finally, we'll see what's below, what's been waiting. The final entry, written in shaking letters. It's not a mine. It never was. We dug into something that was already here, something that's been feeding on us. And now it's full. Now it moves. A sound made Sarah spin around. The classroom door had closed by itself. The lights flickered. Then, from every speaker in the school, a child's voice began singing. The same note, over and over. The same frequency from the mine. Sarah and Marcus ran from the school, the singing following them through the streets. It stopped only when they reached the edge of town. Sarah's phone buzzed, a message from her captain. Finally, contact with the outside world. Call me, urgent, do not proceed further without authorization. She dialed. Captain Morrison answered on the first ring. Chen, listen carefully. You need to leave Ash Grove immediately. Sir, an entire town is missing. We found evidence of... I know what you found, Morrison interrupted. His voice was strained, frightened. Sarah, this case was never about finding survivors. You weren't sent there to investigate. You were sent there because... He paused. Because you match the profile. Sarah's blood turned to ice. What profile? Project Resonance, classified since 1952. The government has been monitoring that site for 70 years. Every incident, we've studied it. The entity, or whatever it is, it doesn't take people randomly. It selects them. Specific genetic markers, specific psychological profiles, specific frequencies. Marcus grabbed Sarah's arm, pointing at her phone. A file was downloading, sent by Morrison. Surveillance photos, documents, medical records. Sarah's medical records. You had those headaches last year, the ones that made you hear tones no one else could. The neurologist said it was tinnitus, but it wasn't. Your brain processes sound differently. You're sensitive to frequencies outside normal human range, just like every single person who lived in Ashgrove. The file opened. Photos of Sarah from the past 6 months, surveillance shots. She'd been watched, just like the villagers. They wanted you to come here, Morrison said. The entity, it's not done. The 1,247 people weren't the harvest. They were the preparation, the way you prepare soil before planting. Sarah, you and Marcus were sent there as seeds. Sarah looked at Marcus. His nose was bleeding. He touched it, confused, then his eyes went distant. Marcus! He didn't respond, just stared toward the mine, that same blank expression from the security footage. Morrison, how do we stop it? Sarah demanded. Silence. Then, every attempt to stop it has failed. Every weapon we've used. It exists outside conventional physics. But there's one thing we never tried. The research team from 1983 theorized that if someone with your sensitivity entered the frequency willingly, consciously, they might be able to disrupt it from within, like fighting fire with fire. That's insane. You're asking me to... I'm asking you to choose. Walk away and let it spread. Because, Sarah, here's what we know. Every cycle, the entity's reach expands. 1952, 7 people. 2019, over 1,000. The mathematics are clear. Next cycle, approximately 20,000 people. And it won't be contained to one town. Marcus began walking toward the mine. Sarah grabbed him, but he was stronger, pulling away with inhuman force. Morrison's voice cracked. You have maybe 10 minutes before you're like him. The frequency is already in your head. You're hearing it now, aren't you? Sarah realized she was. A beautiful humming, getting louder, making her want to follow Marcus into the darkness.
Sarah made her choice. She ran after Marcus, not to stop him, but to follow him. If she was going to enter the frequency consciously, she needed to do it before it consumed her completely, before she became another smiling puppet. The mine swallowed them both, level 3 again. The pit waited, that bottomless throat of darkness. Marcus stood at its edge, swaying slightly, humming that same note. Sarah grabbed equipment from the mining supplies, rope, carabiners, a headlamp. Her hands moved frantically as the humming grew louder in her skull. "I'm sorry, Marcus," she whispered, then pushed him aside and clipped herself to the rope. She descended into the pit. The walls were smooth, almost organic, not stone, something else. As her light played across the surface, she saw they were covered in the same symbols from the pit's edge, thousands of them, spiraling down into the abyss. Ancient languages mixed with modern ones, English, Chinese, Sanskrit, all saying the same thing. We were here. We were taken. We became one. 30 feet down, 50. The air grew thick, difficult to breathe. Her headlamp flickered, and in the moments of darkness, she saw bioluminescence in the walls, pulses of light traveling downward like neurons firing in a massive brain. That's when she understood this wasn't a pit. It was a throat, a passage, and the entity wasn't at the bottom. The entity was the bottom. The entire geological formation, miles deep, ancient beyond comprehension, was alive. At 100 feet, her rope went slack. She'd reached the end, but there was no floor beneath her, only darkness and that relentless humming, now so loud it felt like her skull would split. Then she fell. Not dropped, the rope had been cut from above.
She plummeted through the dark, waiting for impact, but instead of hitting ground, she hit something else. Something soft, yielding, wet. Sarah's headlamp revealed where she'd landed. Bodies, hundreds of them fused together into a living mass, their skin translucent, veins glowing with that same bioluminescent pulse. But they weren't dead. Their eyes moved, their mouths opened and closed in synchronized breathing, and they were all singing that frequency. Mrs. Patterson's face emerged from the mass, eyes locked on Sarah. Her mouth moved, but the voice that came out belonged to something else, something vast and ancient and hungry. "Detective Chen, you came voluntarily. How curious. The others always fight, but you understand, don't you? You feel the beauty of the pattern." Sarah tried to scream, but the frequency filled her mouth, her lungs, her thoughts. The mass reached for her with 1,000 hands, pulling her in. She felt her skin beginning to change, to merge. In her last moment of clarity, Sarah understood the horrible truth. The villagers weren't dead. They were still conscious, still aware, trapped in collective agony, forced to sing forever.
The deeper Sarah and Marcus followed the tremors beneath the crumbling chamber, the more the atmosphere pressed against their lungs like an invisible weight. The tunnel widened into a vast cavern where metallic veins snaked through the walls, pulsing with faint bioluminescent light that brightened as they approached, as if responding to their presence. At the cavern's heart lay a circular stone platform carved with intricate symbols, the exact same ones from the children's drawings. Sarah's stomach tightened at the recognition. Marcus raised his camera with trembling hands, capturing the eerie phosphorescent glow rising from the floor like mist. Sarah stepped closer and froze. Footprints covered the dusty ground, fresh, small, child-sized, scattered in overlapping circles around the platform, as though people had moved in ritualistic patterns while entranced. A low hum vibrated through the stone, resonating in her bones and chest. The sensation was nauseating yet hypnotic, pulling her gaze downward to the platform's center, where a crack was opening with agonizing slowness. The stone groaned as ancient mechanisms awakened. The fissure widened, revealing a darkness beneath that absorbed their flashlight beams. A void promising answers neither was certain they wanted.
The hum intensified, transforming into a rhythmic pulse disturbingly familiar, identical to the sound from the abandoned school recordings. Dust cascaded from the ceiling as tremors shook the cavern. Sarah's eyes caught movement along the walls. Handprints smeared across the stone surface, child-sized and overlapping, each one glowing with the same cold luminescence that permeated the cavern. Marcus approached the platform's edge, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness as he peered into the widening crack. His breath caught. Below, scattered across the chasm floor, lay dozens of personal belongings, shoes with frayed laces, cracked glasses, torn scraps of clothing stained with age and earth. Sarah moved beside him, her heart hammering as something caught her eye. A silver bracelet, half buried in the debris, its distinctive butterfly charm unmistakable. The missing schoolteacher's bracelet. The hum suddenly faltered, its steady rhythm breaking into something irregular, almost questioning. The tone shifted, as if the sound itself were alive, aware, reacting deliberately to their discovery. Marcus stumbled backward, his hand gripping Sarah's arm with desperate strength. "It's not echoing," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the pulsing resonance. "It's answering."
The cavern lights flickered violently as the hum escalated into a sharp, piercing frequency that made the stone beneath them tremble. Sarah pressed her palms hard against her ears, but the sound bypassed every physical barrier, burrowing directly into her skull with relentless intensity. The platform fractured further with loud cracks, revealing a swirling void of absolute darkness, threaded with pale, shifting shapes that moved like silhouettes trapped beneath dark water, writhing, reaching, desperate. Marcus grabbed her shoulder, his mouth moving frantically as he shouted words she couldn't fully process through the overwhelming noise. The void pulsed with sudden violence, and a wave of frigid air exploded upward from the depths, so cold it burned their exposed skin. Carried on that icy wind came whispers, faint at first, then growing stronger. Dozens of voices overlapping, layered, repeating the same fractured phrase over and over. "We're still here, we're still here." The whisper swelled, multiplying, until it felt as though the cavern itself had found a voice and was speaking directly to them, through the stone, through the air, through their very bones. The stone beneath them erupted without warning. A shockwave of pure force radiated outward from the platform, violent enough to lift them off their feet and send both bodies tumbling backward across the rough cavern floor. Sarah's shoulder slammed against rock, pain exploding through her arm as Marcus crashed beside her with a grunt. When she finally scrambled to her feet, gasping and disoriented, everything had changed. The platform stood sealed, completely smooth, as if the crack had never existed. The ethereal glow had extinguished entirely, plunging the cavern into ordinary darkness, broken only by their scattered flashlights. The void was gone. Silence swallowed the space with suffocating completeness, as quickly and absolutely as the sound had erupted moments before. Marcus pushed himself upright, scanning the cavern with wild eyes, his breath coming in ragged gasps that echoed off the walls. Then their radios crackled to life. Static at first, harsh and grating. But through the white noise emerged something else. Soft humming. Unmistakably identical to the recordings from the children, but now layered with something that hadn't been there before. Faint laughter, distant and echoing, impossibly childlike and innocent, yet wrong in ways that defied explanation. Sarah stared at the sealed platform, her legs refusing to move. The truth settled into her chest like ice spreading through water, freezing everything it touched. The town hadn't vanished into nothing. It had been taken, deliberately, methodically, consumed by something ancient and patient. And whatever had taken them, whatever lived beneath this cursed ground, had just learned her name.